Well, this past Saturday in the CFL, we saw a number of Labor Day rematches, including the Banjo Bowl being hosted in Winnipeg and the Labor Day Classic rematch hosted in Edmonton. Joining us today to break this down is Jace Mackey. Jace, thank you for hopping on with us.
For sure, Evan. I love talking CFL whenever we can.
Now, starting off in Winnipeg with the Banjo Bowl, this is not quite the Saskatchewan team that we've been seeing. To start off the season, the Saskatchewan Roughriders were really looking like one of the top teams in the CFL. Now the Winnipeg Blue Bombers seem to have knocked them off. Jace, just tell us what happened in this Banjo Bowl.
Well, yeah, like you said, coming into both of these Labor Day games, the home and home series, I think this was really going to be the battle of who is the best team in the CFL. And Saskatchewan lost that first game, but I think a lot of Saskatchewan fans were thinking, you know what? I think if we can don't get swept, I think there's still a lot of room to grow. And going into Winnipeg, which can be a loud stadium as well, I know a lot of people say that, or a lot of people know that Saskatchewan has a loud stadium, but Winnipeg IG Field is just as loud. And starting off, Cody Fajardo in that offense didn't look too bad. They were able to score a field goal on their first drive, I believe, and they were really looking pretty decent. But Zach Collaros had some responses when it came to Winnipeg, and that Winnipeg D really didn't let Cody Fajardo get anything off further on as the game continued. There was also some two players, I believe, on Saskatchewan's defense that ended up being ejected after a little bit of a fight in the end zone. A lot of people were thinking that Andrew Harris of the Winnipeg should have been leaving that game. He didn't. He didn't throw a punch, but he did end up pulling a Saskatchewan player's helmet off. So that's something that losing those two players for Saskatchewan didn't help. And then Cody Fajardo later on in the game ended up having to leave and is going to be going through some concussion protocols. So leaving this game, Saskatchewan was going into it thinking, you know what, we can still put ourselves as one of the top teams in the league. Leaving it, they're not too happy.
Now, Jace, Winnipeg, like you said, sort of has cemented themselves as the top team in this league. They've allowed the least amount of points. They've scored the most amount of points. And in back-to-back games, they haven't given up a point in the second half. I guess just what about them makes them such a dominant team?
Coming into this season, I think they are the defending Grey Cup champions. So a lot of people thought, this is going to be a top team. Going into this game here, a lot of people are saying, they are them and Saskatchewan are the top teams. Leaving these two games, I don't think anyone can doubt that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the best team in the league right now. I think quarterback Zach Collaros has been great for the team. There were questions coming in. I know in 2019 they had that tandem quarterback with Chris Shevler. Having Zach be the guy, people weren't sure, can he deliver? I think coming out of this, people have to say Zach Collaros not only is a good quarterback, being efficient, being able to run that offense, but I think he also brings this energy to the team that they can say, this is our guy, he's our leader, and they're going to follow him into all these games. When it comes to special teams as well, Winnipeg has always been a great team when it comes to special teams. Head coach Sean O'Shea is also the special teams coordinator, so they're always strong there. Their defense has been great. So they were always missing this kind of great quarterback that could lead them, and I think they have that now. Obviously, the CFL, anything can happen, and especially when you look at the East, things aren't going too well, but the team at the Grey Cup can always win it. But I think Winnipeg is definitely going to be a strong team in this league, and they're definitely the number one team in this league.
Now, Jace, jumping over to the other Labor Day rematch between the Edmonton Elks and the Calgary Stampeders. You were actually at this game in Edmonton. Now, the big storyline going in was Bo Levi Mitchell returning to the Stampeders. But, Jace, it seemed like the story was flipped, and it was really the other side of the ball for the Stampeders that took over this game, being the defense. Why were they so dominant?
Well, definitely. I think going into this game, a lot of people were excited as Calgary fans to have Bo back. He is their leader. He's the franchise quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks, arguably, in the CFL. But I don't think quarterbacking was the Stampeders' issues while he was gone. Jake Maier came in, rookie QB. He won one game. But when stats came out, he is the first quarterback to throw over 300 yards in his first three starts. So I don't think quarterbacking was the issue for them. In that first Labor Day game in Calgary that Calgary lost, they did have receivers that just missed some passes, and obviously Edmonton lit it up and was able to kind of have their way with Calgary's defense. They did make adjustments coming into this game, and in that first half, Bo Levi Mitchell honestly didn't look the best. The Edmonton and Calgary were trading with some field goals, and he wasn't finishing those drives. But heading into the second half, they really were able to make some adjustments and capitalize on an Edmonton team that just wasn't pushing the ball down the field and wasn't able to finish drives.
Now, the Calgary Stampeders did win that game 32-16. These two teams are at the bottom of the West standings. Meanwhile, the two teams we previously talked about, the Rough Riders and Blue Bombers, currently at the top of the West standings. Jace, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me.